ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रहे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन तदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिने इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome you all on our discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, and on a very auspicious month actually going on, and we are on day 9 I guess. And yes, so as continuing with the reading of Bhagavata Mahatmya, yesterday we heard that when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna appears in our heart. Bhagwan Vishwate Hriday, he comes in our heart. And now we'll hear what is he do. He says, Pravishtra Karnarandrena Swanam Bhavasaroruham Dhunoti Samalam Krishna Sailasya Yathasarat. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, Srimad Bhagavatam enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of a muddy water. So it's being said, like what Krishna does in our heart, he starts cleaning it. So let's suppose, for example, you have a glass of water, muddy water, and rain is pouring. So if let's suppose you just go under a water tab and open the tab, you don't clean anything, just keep the muddy cup under the water, running water. Gradually, all the mud will come out and it will get clean. In the similar way, Krishna gradually cleanses our heart when it comes into our heart. So that's why the Mahatmya of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have actually covered Canto 1, where we can see the questions being answered by Suta Goswami, by the questions questioned by Naimisharanya Rishis. And then Parikshit Maharaj, the last episode was Parikshit Maharaj got cursed by a small child, a Brahmana child, Siringi, and then he was to die in 7 days. So he asked two questions, how to live and how to live. So means how to spend our life when we are alive, and what are the duty of person who is actually about to die. And then we enter to Canto number 2, then where he actually asks more question, but the essence is how to live and how to live. That says, he says, okay, what shall a person do and what shall a person not do? This question is being asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami. And there was one more verse where they appreciated the entrance of Sukadeva Goswami. And before that, a nice verse being told by the association or the importance of association of devotees being glorified earlier in 18th chapter of first canto. It says, Tulayam lavannapi na swargam na punarbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Mrityanam Kim Utashiya says the value of moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. It means what? Whatever we actually acquire, the material benefits or things, at the time of death is all goes away anyway. And it's being compared that association of pure devotee of Lord, even going to heavenly planet, is being, it's not being compared with that as well. So that's how Parikshit Maharaj being associated with Sukadev Goswami, and also it being said that by the planning of Krishna, Sukadev Goswami has appeared before Parikshit Maharaj. So if a person is so inquisitive and he actually wanted to search about this, bona fide spiritual master actually comes there, and he will find bona fide master, spiritual master anyway. So let's enter to canto number 2. This canto actually is very small canto. It's just got 10 chapters, and this is in this chapter we will be discussing about how this cosmic manifestation has been created, how the universe is created, and what are the energies of Lord which actually helps in creating this universe. And also a bit of bhakti and Ashtanga yoga and meditation is being also described. So by answering these two questions, the Sukadev Goswami says that you have asked a very, very beneficial questions for all kind of people, right? And the question is beneficial for all because everyone has to live, isn't it? We all have to live here, and at the end we'll have to die as well. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, anyone who takes birth, he has to die. Also in previous verses he says, anyone who comes to my abode, they do not come back again in this material world where birth and death are in a cyclic process. So Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth and death, old age and disease are to come for every one person, and it goes round and round and round. So that's why Sukadev Goswami appreciated the question by King Parikshit Maharaj. He said, you have asked a very, very nice question. So what to do for that? And he described what not to do first. And he said, the important thing to understand that this is temporary life, and we need to think about permanent life. What does that mean? So this life which we are right now going on in this material world, where it's called a Dukkhalayam Asashwatam in the Bhagavad Gita. So Dukkhalayam means it's always full of miseries, and Asashwatam means it's not permanent, it's temporary. However, that goes for this body, but we are a conscious, we have the soul, and the soul is permanent and eternal. And this body, what it's got, is actually temporary. So we are working, the soul is within our body, and we are working. And we are in the material world, that's why it's temporary. But when we go back to spiritual world, we will become eternal again. We are by nature, we are eternal. And even by nature, it's being said that, we are servant of Krishna. It says, we are Jiva. Jiva Swarupa hai Nitya Krishna Radas. Means a Jiva is actually the servant of Krishna. Having said that, he said that, this body is actually temporary and perishable. So someone should think about permanent solution, not just the temporary solution, because whatever we acquire here, it's going to go anyway. There was a nice message a couple of days back. This was one of the player. He said she was quite sick and she got died by cancer. And she said, I have, so big bungalow, but right now I'm just inside 4 walls of a, in hospitals. And she said many things. She said, I used to have 8 beauticians to take care of my hairs, but right now because of cancer is bald, so there is no hair. And that's the thing that, it teaches us that actually this everything is temporary, and we need to work out for something permanent, right? And then he said, so tasmad, that's why, what to do? Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari. Krishna is Ishwara. And what need to do? We need to Srotabhya, it means what? We need to hear about him. Then Krititabhya, we need to glorify about him. And then Smratabhya, we need to remember him. So there are 9 processes of devotional service. Do anyone know what are the 9 processes of devotional service? So this goes like hearing or Shravanam, first one, then chanting or Kirtanam, then remembering Vishnu Smaranam. So first 1, 2, 3, hearing, chanting and remembering. Then fourth goal is Pada Shevanam, is the serving lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then fifth goes as Archanam, Aditi worship. And sixth goes as Vandanam, praying, offering prayers. And eighth goes as Dashyam, become his executing order. And then becomes Sakhyam, or Dashyam is becoming servant, and Sakhyam is serving as a friend. Like the best example was Arjuna. He was a friend of Krishna. Also, he was he's serving as well. And the last one is Atmanivedanam. So these are the 9 processes of bhakti. However, here he mentioned the first 3 are very important. What? He says, Srotabhya means you should be hearing about Krishna Katha, about Lord. And then Kirtitabhyasa means chanting about Lord Krishna, his name, his pastime, his glorious, his all this, all many incarnations. And then he says you should be remembering Vishnu. And that is the process of bhakti. And having said that, he said even karmis, jnanis, yogis, they can also achieve perfection. So we can say we are karmis, isn't it? We are working, we are taking care of our family, we are taking care of our job, our relatives and everything. So we are working, we are karmis. And there are many people who go away or they do not work. The jnanis, they try to refrain from working because they understand that work is actually a foundation or it binds us in this material cosmos. So they wanted to get liberated. And the yogis, they even are higher than jnanis. They meditate on their own self, which is super soul. So they say that, even karmi, jnani and yogis can get perfection. And what he says, Etavan Sankhya Yogya Bham Swadharma Parinasthya Janma Labha Param Pumsam Ante Narayanam Smritim. So what to do? Ante Narayanam Smritim. We need to remember Lord, Narayana, Krishna, Vishnu himself. We need to remember the personality of Godhead. And that was the answer to him. He says, Oh Maharaj Parishit, mainly the topmost transcendentalist who endeavor for self-realizations, they take pleasure in describing the glories of Lord. And that is why we need to hear about him, about Supreme Personality of Godhead. We need to glorify about Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at the end, we need to remember him. Even there is in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 8, it's completely described about death. What a person should do in that. Ante kale cha mameva smrana muktva kalevaram. Krishna says, at the time of end, if one remembers me, he comes to my abode. And even if someone remembers whatever he desires in the next life or in future, he will be getting those. So end is very, very important, right? So by saying that, Sukadeva Goswami said, I will be narrating you something glorious, which I have heard from my father. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, I have heard, I have studied this from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is again a term. Normally we say Srila Vyasadeva, but Vyasadeva is kind of a position. As a prime minister. Prime minister is a position. And right now, XYZ is a prime minister, and maybe in the next election, he will be replaced or may continue, but depends upon that. But that's a position. So in the similar way, in every millennium, to write or to provide this literature, Vedic literature especially, that person is called as or being glorified as Vyasadeva. And this time, his name was Srila Dvaipayana. And I heard it in one of the lecture. It said that, Ashwathama, he is going to be getting this position in next millennium. So again, Vyasadeva is a position, and this time Srila Dvaipayana Krishna Devan actually, he is given us this all literature. And then he said, what is the proof? And he said that proof is myself. He said, how you can say that? No, just to inquire that we are on the right path. Sukadeva Goswami says, I am the proof himself. Because, and he described that the Srimad Bhagavatam, I will recite to you, because this, you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna as well, because from birth he has seen Krishna in Chaturbhuj form, and he is searching throughout his own life to him. That's why Vishnu Rat as well. And he says, one who gives full attention and respect of to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves faith in the Supreme Lord. So just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly with respect and attention. So what is the difference between hearing and attention hearing, isn't it? So there are two things comes, hearing and listening. I think nearly both are same. We just do from our ears. But listening is actually more attentive hearing. We are talking right now, maybe we can hear the sound of a vehicle going away from here, from a motorway or highway, or someone is, anyway, we can hear so many sounds, but we don't provide any attention to those. But right now, we all are actually providing more attention to Srimad Bhagavatam right now. And hence, hearing has an importance as well. And that should be done with full attention. And anyone who is do full attentionally hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, he will achieve unflinching faith, ahetuki bhakti, or ahetuki shraddha. And shraddha, we discussed in our previous session that shraddha is the first step of Nanda Bhakti. Sorry, yes, Nanda Bhakti is the first step, where there are many things to go. And the Shraddha, when we do Shraddha, we start associating with the devotees, then all process goes towards Prema. Right. And then he said, okay, I will be explaining you this. And then he's made a conclusion. He said that just by hearing about the Lord, we get the faith and we get the love as well. So imagine how important is it to hear about Krishna. And then he glorified, saying that, constant chanting of holy name, this is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires and those who are distressed of material enjoyment, as well as those who are self-realized. Right. And then by saying that, he said that, okay, that he told a story of Khatwang, King Khatwang. King Khatwang was actually, he was a very king, and he actually helped Devatas to fight and win a war. And then he asked the Devatas, so please let me know how much time I have left for my death so that I can plan accordingly. And the Devata says, you have left a moment, and it's called as one muhurta. And one muhurta is actually 48 minutes. And at the same time, by hearing it, that King Khatwanga, after being informed that he had just got 48 minutes left for his living of his body, he freed everything from all material activities and took shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, under the shelter of Krishna, and then he achieved liberation. So he gave an examples to say that, and he said, you have 7 days. You have 7 days to go. Right. And then going ahead, he said chanting is the best way. And after that, there is a nice verse comes. Let me read that one actually. Yeah, I think that's still there. Yeah. Then he started describing about Ashtanga Yoga. He described about Ashtanga Yoga, that Ashtanga Yoga is also one of the process by which we can achieve this state. And in Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 steps: Yama, Niyama, Asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. And by describing all this process, he said it is very, very difficult. In general, it is difficult for everyone. In common person, it's difficult. Yama means what? Let's a bit briefly. Yama is don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't. And Yama is do. We know we always see do's and don't. So even for the spiritual path, we have some do's and don't. Yesterday we see in the 4 principles: no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. These are kind of don't. And Niyama, do is what? Get up early, read scriptures, chant holy name, glorify Lord, offer food to Lord, worship Lord. These are the do's. So in the similar way, they have for Ashtanga Yoga, they also have Yama and Niyama. And then Asana. Asana, basically you need to find some place where you can sit down properly, you can lay down your seat and in a secluded place. Even this whole process been described in Bhagavad Gita chapter number 6 too. And then pranayam is controlling your air. And then pratyahara is basically controlling your senses. And then dharana is actually meditating on Krishna. And intense dharana is called as dhyana, completely absorbed in the meditation of Lord Krishna. We see in Bhishma Pitama, at the time he was leaving his body, he was completely absorbed in looking Lord Krishna. He sees Krishna is in his heart, as well as he could see Krishna in front of him. That is dhyana. And then the last stage is samadhi, where they get liberation. Right. And he explained this process in a very brief. And then he says the second stage, this was the first stage. He says the second stage is that, they start meditating on the super soul within their heart. Right. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishvara Shara Bhutanam Hrideshu Arjuna Tishtati. He says, Arjuna, I am, as a super soul, resides in everyone's heart. So we will be going into this a bit detail in maybe probably in tomorrow or day tomorrow, understanding this, how Krishna enters within us and known as super soul. And then that will be also answering the question earlier that Krishna comes from Vishnu or Vishnu comes from Krishna. That question will be answered there as well. And then he explained about the 14 planetary systems, and they say that by meditating on the Virata Rupa, sometimes they compare this with the planetary system or the Varna ashramas, and then he described a bit more on that. After that, he rejected Karma Kanda. Mostly he rejected about the kind of worshipping of Devi Devtas or demigods just for our benedictions, right? And he said a very nice thing. Let me see if I have the content here. Sorry for that, I think. Yeah. So he said that we should not be worshipping this for our own benediction or our sense enjoyment, because whatever we get from those, it's basically temporary, and hence we should be looking for permanent. And why does he says it? There is a nice descriptions given in Bhagavad Gita. I'll read it on that, just try to take it as from your head, not from sentimentally, because it might go a bit wrong. And in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in 21st sloka, Krishna says, and the point is why Sukadeva Goswami is not suggesting Parikshit Maharaj to worship Devi Devtas rather than going to Krishna. He says, I'm in everyone's heart as the super soul, and as soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Those are the words of Krishna in chapter 7. And then he says, endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and thus obtains his desire. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So Krishna is saying that, if we worship Devi Devatas for our desires, they fulfill it. However, they do it from by me only. And this is the important one. This is man of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of demigods, but by my devotees ultimately reach to my supreme planet. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also clearly mentioned that people worship Devi Devata just for their own fulfillment of desires, and then whatever they get is at it's temporary. It's not permanent, and hence he said you should be doing bhakti directly on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he said the direct devotional service to Lord Krishna, it should be the aim of every living entity, right? And he says that the attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Saranam Braja. Aham Tvam Sara Papebhyo Mokshasmai Masucha. It means what? It doesn't mean that Krishna says, okay, abandon everything. There are two things. If you are abandoning your religion, you should be for higher cause. It means after rejecting our religion, you are taking shelter of Lord Krishna. Then you are going higher. And if you reject your activities of religion and go downwards, it's not recommended. So Krishna is saying, if you reject it, go towards higher. And then here Shukdev Goswami says that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of all religion. And by this he glorifies Bhakti Yoga. And Shukdev Goswami says that, by saying this, he describes Bhakti Yoga, and he says, this is not my prescription, it's all given by Lord Brahma as well. He says that Lord Brahma says that, we'll go into that part actually. And then by that he describes that there are two benefits of Bhakti Yoga. What is the two benefits? He says, when we serve Krishna, the first thing is that it purifies our polluted aim of life. It means what? It purifies our material hankering, it purifies our material enjoyment. And second benefit what we get is we go back to Godhead. So when we get our desire fulfilled by the devatas, it gets fulfilled, and as soon as we get desire fulfilled, we have some more desires come up. In 15th chapter also, it has been in Bhagavad Gita, it has been described that it's called as banyan tree. So the banyan tree has the roots downward as well as upward. All branches, when they come to the earth, it's get another branch or another root. So it goes huge and expanding and expanding. In a similar way, the desire of a person in this material world goes expanding and expanding. When we get something, we start to have more and more. And so, but when we worship Lord Krishna, the material desires is being fulfilled as well as the cleaning process happens, and we become eligible to go back to Godhead. Right. And then it's being more described more. He said that demigod or Devi Devtas worship, he compares actually in chapter number 3 that worshipping of Devi Devatas with pure devotional service. He said there are particular deities are being assigned for something. It's being said, he said that to be absorbed in impersonal Brahma Jyot, if you want to be there, you can worship Brahma. If you want to have powerful sex, you can worship Indra. If you want to have good progeny, you can worship Prajapati Daksha, because actually all this cosmos is because of from him only. And he says, if you want to have good fortune, Durga Devi is there. If you want to have need some strength and power, we can worship Agni. If you want money, we can worship Vasus. If you want to become a great hero, we can worship Rudra. And then he explains more going towards, but he can mention that, these all desires are not worth maintaining. Let's try to understand this in a way that, when we worship Devatas, we go to heavenly planet, as we read in Bhagavad Gita, or their planet. What normally happens is, a devotee was explaining very nicely. He says, when we go to holidays, isn't it? Let's suppose you go to some holiday for Europe. How long can we be there? For a week or 2 weeks or a month? But after that, we have to come back to our own home. We go there, we spend our money, we enjoy everything, we see the cinematic, and we take photographs and we take posts on Facebook and our relatives and say, okay, we are touring here and here and here. But what happens after 2 weeks or 3 weeks? We come back our home and take rest. It is the similar way when we cultivate, when we get pious activities. By doing pious activity, we acquire pious results. And to enjoy those pious results, we go or we elevate it towards the heavenly planet. And when we go there, we enjoy it. And once that being finished, we come back to this material world again. So that is why Sukadeva Goswami is saying that material desires are not worth maintaining, right? And we may be hankering for it. I'm not saying that we should not do. It's good, but the thing that he's saying that we should be cautious that whatever we are thinking of is temporary, and we should also think of a desire for something permanent and which is eternal. And then a question might come to us. So shall we not have material desire? Or if we have material desire, can we worship Krishna? Isn't it? So clearly Sukadeva Goswami and even Bhagavad Gita says that, less intelligent people, they take shelter of Devi Devatas and they fulfill their desire. And Krishna here explained in Bhagavatam that a nice verse, if you want, you can actually read it. It's in 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse. He says, Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tibrena bhakti yogena yajate purusam param. What does it mean? Akamaha. If you have no desire, some people we can see they are always satisfied. Or you have sarva kama, second point, means you have abundance of desires. I want this, I want this, I want this, everything. So one doesn't have any desire. Second person have complete desire, full desire. Va moksha kama uda, moksha kama. Moksha kama means you want to have liberation, you want liberation. Either you don't have any desire, or you have full of desires, or you want desire, you want liberation. He says, then udaradi means with broad intelligence. What you do? Tibrena bhakti yogena, with full your broad intelligence and with full force, with great force, with full enthusiasm. What to do? Bhakti yogena, engage in bhakti yoga. By how? Yajate purusam param, by worshipping Param Purusha, Krishna. So when we do like this, worship like this, our desires, we took it earlier, our desires get fulfilled, as well as the hankering of desires get finished, and we are eligible to go back to Godhead. And he said, a person who has a broad intelligence, whether he be full of material desires or without any material desires or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead, isn't it? And by that, because the Krishna, when Krishna comes, which read today in the Mahatmya, that when Krishna comes in our heart, he starts purifying us. The responsibility of purifying our heart goes to Krishna now. It's not our anymore. Krishna will take care. He'll start cleaning it. And how it happens? It happens when we worship Krishna, and we can worship Krishna with association of the devotees. And in one of the slokas comes like, bhakti stu bhagavata sangena parijayate, means the bhakti can be done with the association of the devotees. A devotee from Pune, he was sharing one lecture. He says, bhakti can only be done to Lord Krishna. And for other devatas, we do upasana. Because for them, we do some process to get some benediction, right? And one more point here, that why these are there. See, understand one thing, that everyone has a mobile phone and everyone uses electricity at their home, isn't it? And everyone has to pay their bills. If you don't pay, maybe our connections will get lost next week or next month, or we'll have to pay a fine, isn't it? Just imagine the first important thing to be alive is what? Taking breath, taking oxygen, technical term, isn't it? Who is providing it? First point. Just imagine if there is no sun, everything is dark, can we live? Who provided the sun? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that the moonlight provides juices to our vegetables and fruits. Who provided it? Forget everything. The land where we are building is so high skyscraper building. Who provided it? Whose land it is? The water, which is essential things. These resources we cannot manufacture in factories. We have technology advanced, but we cannot manifest water in the factories. Rain comes and a designated personality is being taken care or given the responsibility to do rain. Sun has a sun god, moon has a moon god. For rain, we have Indra. So these are the administration part taken care by the devotees or empowered devotees of Krishna. So understanding here is that all the devatas or Devi Devatas whom we see, they are empowered devotees of Krishna. And we'll see in it comes in 12th canto, I think 12th canto, yes. And Lord Shiva is one of the greatest Vaishnava. Right. So that is the understanding that these are the servant or empowered devotees of Lord Krishna. They are working under the instruction of Krishna. And as a responsibility, we have to worship them because they are providing everything. And Prabhupada also in one purport there, he says, we are actually thief. We pay bills for mobile, we pay bill for electricity, but do we pay something to Suryadev? Because he is providing light every day without fail. Sometimes light may go, electricity may go out. We experience it is more in India, not here, but it may go out, isn't it? The network problem can happen. But has anything has happened that any day sun has never came? So water, oxygen is all the natural resources provided by Krishna himself. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita as well, Maya adhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This moving and non-moving anything, everything is actually is under my control. And in 10th chapter, he explains that, I, by my energy, I keep these planets in their place and revolving. Right. And that is why Sukadeva Goswami emphasizes that, we should be taking the path of bhakti. And then having said that, he says, Prabhupada writes in the purport, he says, the knowledge which is self-satisfying it is due to being free from mental attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by all the authorities. And who would not like to take it? Okay, just a quick question. I hope everyone remembers, yesterday I told that the two qualities of Kali Yuga, Parshit Maharaj told that if you think of devotional service of some pious activity, you get the result. And I told the example that you just think of donating 100 cows or feeding 200,000 brahmanas. How many of us have thought it?
I did that today.
Yeah, Prabhu, I did it.
Me as well.
That's great.
Me too.
I forgot about it.
No worries. That's fine. But the point is, the point is that who will fail to get these things? So similarly, if we can actually do this every day. Whenever we get up, after taking our shower, we can actually think it. Okay, let me meditate for 2 minutes and think. I am donating this much of cows to people, and I can guarantee you, either Maya will start pulling us back, or we will going to get a very, very nice benefits for that. Right. And then Sukadeva Goswami, at the end, he actually established the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga over Ashtanga Yoga, duty, Devata worship, and even Karma Kanda. And then in this way, we are actually nearly finishing chapter number 3. And tomorrow, there's one point left. Sorry, it might take 2 minutes, and then we can finish it. He says the time, normally time people should be utilizing for hearing about Krishna Katha. Why? He says, see, when sun rises and when sets every day, the sun decreases 1 day of our life. Have you ever thought of it? Both rising and setting of sun decreases the duration of everyone. However, except who utilizes the time for discussing the topics of all good personality of Godhead. So when someone uses the time for discussing about Krishna, except him, the time takes away. You may say, okay, how it happens? Everyone is getting older. But the thing is that everyone is actually approaching to death every day, isn't it? But when we discuss about Krishna or Krishna Katha, Krishna takes care of us. See, a cat, isn't it? A cat with her jaw killed the rat, and with the same jaw, she takes care of her baby when a dog comes behind her. The jaw is same, the cat is same. In one time, she is eating or killing a rat, and at the same time, she is saving her child as well. So the person utilizes their time in Krishna Katha, then Krishna takes care of him. And who those do not apply this, they are coming closer to that, right? So again, so that is how Sukadeva Goswami emphasizes, says that hearing about Krishna Katha is the best way to live our life. And I would end here. And there's actually I'll share it in our group so that we can read it. He said, the ear holes who do not hear about Krishna Katha are like holes of snakes. The tongue who do not speak about Krishna Katha are actually like tongues of frog. And then he compares those things. See, we need to be a bit more practical to understand the things and utilize in our life. Okay. Anyway, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry for taking a bit more time. And if you have anyone any questions, we can discuss or we can see tomorrow then.
Prabhu, one question.